The phrase fear not appears in the Bible 365 times. That's one time for every day of the year. And if God placed this phrase in the Bible that many times, you know there's a good reason for it. In 2 Timothy 1:7, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Now, God blessed me with an amazing woman for me to just love, behold, and usually annoy. Now, Jess and I lived in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains of Colorado for a little over a year. And if there was an ocean there, I'm telling you, I never would have left. It's truly just such a beautiful state. And I love hiking. And even more so, I love pushing the limits just a little bit to hike to that picture-perfect point of view that may require climbing up or down a cliff or maybe a rock face to get to that ideal spot, set up a hammock, and just take it all in. Now, Jess and I used to hike up to a point called Arthur's Rock, and that was over a 3-mile hike up, and I mean up, to overlook a place called Horsetooth Reservoir, which was the closest thing to an ocean I was going to see there. Now, at the very top, there were some cliffs and a few other beautiful towering rock formations that they were just surrounded by blue skies and eagles just riding the breeze. And while Jess would sway in the hammock and our dog Delco would hang out and catch his breath and keep her company, I'd grab my camcorder and do some exploring, and sometimes maybe I'd do a little free climbing. And one time, Jess was willing to try a little climbing too. And she was making her way as I coached her on where to put her foot and where to grab with her hand. And she was feeling this rush of excitement. She was pushing her limits. And those limits brought her right up to a place to where she came to realize that one of those soaring, majestic creatures was now circling this rock formation, because on top of this natural beauty was an eagle's nest, and Mama wasn't happy at all. So now fear's setting in, and Jess was just marinating in haste and uncertainty. And let me tell you, it gets really tough sometimes to climb down if you're afraid to look down. You find yourself between a rock and a hard place, literally. And she is basically crying and in a panic, pleading for my help, and kopos set in. Kopos is the Greek word for exhaustion, and fear and anxiety can be extremely exhausting. And as she was begging for an answer to her angst, I had a response that may have been the whole reason God placed me in her life. I said, "Stay right there. I'm grabbing the camcorder." And I did just that, so I could capture this moment of comedy on camera. Now, Jess is still having a minor panic session up there, and her feet were about 2 feet away from stability. She's 2 feet off the ground that I was standing on. And sometimes in life, we need to just let go of what we think we know and trust that God will place us on solid ground. He is our foundation. He does not desire kopos in our lives, but rest and peace in Him. And Jesus tells us to give Him our yoke. He will lighten our burden. Now, He is not talking about an egg yolk to share with them over a breakfast omelet. A yoke was an instrument that was used, a large wooden instrument that would be placed over the head and shoulders of cattle to make them work together, make them work at the same pace, make them step towards a common goal. And Jesus desires to work with us, for us to trust in His peace and His way, and our burden will be lighter. He already carried the cross for you. He already planned a path for you to pursue. So practice trust and faith in Him, and He will deliver you from your cliffs of chaos, and you will understand what it's meant when you're being told to fear not.